Thank you guys for watching the Animal One Guys YouTube channel. If you like my content, leave a comment down below. Ask me questions, let me know what you liked about it. And hey, click on the little like button. But please, if you want, go ahead and subscribe, because it helps my channel out. That way you can stay up to date with all my videos. And if you want, click on the bell icon to get notified. Right? Right? Huh? 1 out of 2. Not bad. Hey, Reptile Rescue family. I wanted to make this important video because I like to do research. And when I say things, I like to back them up by things I've experienced firsthand. I don't just read off the internet. I don't go off of old things that people have been saying for 30 years but can never provide any official sources or documentation towards it. You know, oh, my friend said this, or oh, I read this, or oh, this could happen. Why? How often does it happen? Let's get into what I'm talking about. I'm talking about cohabitating bearded dragons. And so this is a project that I started about 2.5 months ago. And you're going to see the dragons and you're going to know what's going on. So here I have an Exoterra, the large tank, 3x2x2. Okay. What are we doing? Actually, it's I think 3x18x2. What do we have in here? We have 2 female bearded dragons. We have an estimated 8 to 10-year-old in Phoenix. You guys know her. You've seen her on my channel. She's a rescue. And then what we have is a 2-year-old in Clementine down there. Now, I wanted to know, why does everywhere say you can't have bearded dragons living together? Because they could get in fights. Because they could spread illness. Because they could annoy each other, because they could depress each other. I mean, every bad thing is listed under Wazoo, because a meteor could come down and crash into your house. Okay, sure, but how often do these things happen? What type of studying has been done? What happens if it's 2 females? What happens if it's a female and a male? Does she just breed them? So I thought, why don't I start and do the easiest thing possible? House 2 females together and monitor them every day and every night, and see what their activity is living together. So this is a series that I'm going to do, and we're going to look at that, what my thought process was, how I monitored everything that I did. So in this first episode, I want to go over those questions. So again, all these bad things could happen. No pointing to how often they happen. And the first thing that hit me is all these things that they're listing are things that could happen when you house 2 of anything together. If you have 2 dogs as your pets, the dogs could fight with each other. If you have 2 cats, they could fight with each other. A dog or a cat could fight with each other. 2 birds could fight with each other. So I saw these things that didn't make sense to me, because a lot of these things, now I can get it. Some people can say there's a hierarchy that forms, but do we know that hierarchy doesn't form with lizards? Because we do see certain lizards housed together. Monitor lizards, iguanas, you know, certain snakes can live together. So I'm moving my hands all around, and Phoenix thinks it's food, but it's not food for you. But so, okay, well then they'll say, well, in the wild, we don't see them together. Well, in the wild, we don't really monitor their living, right? We go herping when we find them in the wild, and we find one basking on a tree branch. Does that mean that they all bask? Obviously, they're getting together at a certain point to mate. So, but what would happen if we do introduce them together? Because that's really what I want to see. Okay, so how did I do this? I wanted to do an average tank I thought people would have. I wanted to do 2 drastically different aged bearded dragons. I wanted to do 2 females, so there would be no mating. And I wanted to make sure that there were multiple cool hides. There's a log here, completely under this platform is cool. There's a cave under there as well that they could go in. All right. There's enough surface area here, down here, under that log, under there. There's a giant hammock where they could bask. It's an 8-inch dome, so that heat, that 95-degree basking spot, is on the entire hammock. So they could bask completely away from each other and still be basking. They don't have to be directly on top of each other. They have multiple climbing areas. Okay, so I set up The UVB is a tube, spans across. I've set up a thing where they could interact or they could not interact and they could get along fine. That's part one. Part two, I ran fecals on both of them. Make sure no type of parasites were found in the poop or anything like that. I had blood tests done on both of them, PCR tests run for ADV to make sure they were both healthy. I didn't want anything tainting this at all. So after negative fecals and negative blood tests on all of them, I know, okay, we have a solid base. Both of them were healthy. Both of them were ferocious eaters. And both of them were easy for me to handle. They were good moves. They were good girls. Not mean, not depressed, eating, basking, running around in the tank, very active. Because not only did I want to see if they could survive, I wanted to see if their moods would change, if they would be depressed, if they would be happy. So those are the starting points that I've started with this cohabitation project. What are the outcomes going to be? In part two, we're going to start going over all that behavior, but I want to put this disclaimer out and I'll let you guys understand the premise. I cannot say for sure what I have found is going to happen with all bearded dragons. I can just tell you with this test, the results that you are going to see are based off of these two specific female dragons in this tank with this setup when we go forward in future videos. I monitored everything, multiple probes, monitored temperatures, multiple probes, monitored humidity levels. I fed together in a communal bowl. I fed separately veggies. I fed bugs together. I had them compete for food. I had them share food. I split food. I fed one veggies as I fed the other bugs. So I wanted to look at things like jealousy, food preferences, everything like that, and covered everything I could think of to see how this could work. Because I wanted to get a good study done, and I wanted it to be a long study. Now, if you follow me on Instagram, you'll see some teaser pictures of certain scenes that I've done with interacting. And I can tell you just right now, a little spoiler, what I have found is there have been pluses with having beardies together, and there have been negatives with the beardies living together. And I will go into all of my findings in the next part of this video. So please follow, because I think I have found some important information. I think it's a stigmatism of these what ifs or these maybes things could happen. We should maybe do a little bit more studying to see what would happen. I would love to repeat this study with Archimedes, but she is currently in brumation, and those are only the 3 girls that I have. So stick around for the next episode. Tell me your thoughts in this episode in the comments, guys, on what you think their living has been like, whether you think this has been positive, negative. Have you tried cohabbing? I just hated the stigma that we saw everywhere that said they can't live together because certain things may happen. No link to how those things happen, how often they happen, whoever saw them happen. No one has most people, they don't have any firsthand knowledge of trying. So I've done this study for you guys, and I'm going to tell you my results in the next video. Take care, everybody. Thank you guys for supporting my reptile rescue family.